Hi everybody. Today we are going to talk about French protests against pension reforms. Background. These protests started in January of this year. More than 700,000 people came to street in 10 cities of France. They were protesting against cost of living crisis, and these protests are coming after yellow vests. Why people are protesting? What's in the pension bill? The age is being increased from 62 years to 64. They have to pay 43 installments of pensions in 1 year from 41. There is wrong excuse for the bill. The rising inflation is not the cause. It is pure greed of the rich people. Because if you look at the figures in France, the inflation rate is only 4.5%, and the country is not dependent on energy imports because of its very good energy system based on nuclear energy. So why Macron is pushing with these reforms? If you look at Sarkozy, he also pushed the age limit from 60 to 62, and Macron is continuing with that policy. Now, the people have come outside the parliament on March 18, and the government has imposed a ban after the parliament passed the bill without voting on it. The vote of no confidence has been filed, and on Monday there will be vote. It is expected that due to one party, Macron government could survive the vote, but there is going to be a fallout, and the fallouts are: number one, the voters are going to divide between the Socialist Party and the extreme right parties. Macron lost the last election majority because the right-wing parties won, and the yellow vests took the toll on Macron because he came back to power, but he lost the majority. Now, why did he lose the majority? Because he has been called the president of the rich, and he is serving the powerful elite instead of public interests. This year in 2022, European Union gave away 674 billion euros in state subsidies, in which France got 161 billion euros. But that money has not been used for public welfare. It is mostly going to the industry or the private sector. And now with these pension reforms and higher cost of living, which is being blamed on Ukraine war and other such things for increase in prices. But the fact is that if you look at the companies, their stocks, their executive income, and their shareholders, they are making most money. In one opinion editorial titled "Why We Are Talking About Cost of Living Crisis," the real culprit is bosses' greedflation. This was published in The Guardian, a British newspaper, in which it has been mentioned that the bosses and the companies are making profit to the tune of 85% to 275%. And this money is not going in public welfare. The governments are failing to tax the rich, and they are passing the cost of living crisis to the poor people, whereas there is no statistical reason for this inflation or higher cost of living, except the rich are making money and the governments are supporting them for their keeping their bases and their funding and their future election prospects. So even if on Monday and subsequent days Macron survives the no confidence vote, that is a Macron government prime minister, there is going to be a fallout, and the fallout is going to be bad for country's democracy, because the more right-wing parties will be benefiting from it, and the left-wing parties will also be getting some advantage, but the vote will be divided and the democracy will be weakened by such developments, because the gap between the rich and the poor is growing, and the governments which are supposed to protect the weak against the strong, the poor against the rich, or the workers against the bosses, are not doing their job. I will keep you posted as further developments from Monday. Till then, thank you very much for listening to me.